I'm Chad Sickles. I'm the oldest brother. For as long as I can remember, my brother was always trying to. I'm gonna miss my brother. He was my best friend. When he was smaller, he always wanted to be just like me. Just like me. He wanted to do everything I wanted to do. And he tried his hardest no matter if it meant he had to get hurt or whatever. Truth of the matter is, he ended up growing up to be better than I was. He grew up to be a great man, a genuine man. I can't do this. Here.
What's up, everybody? On October 4th, 1982, the world got a great man, my father. He was my biggest role model. He was also a loving son, brother, and father. He led his life next to an amazing wife, my stepmom, Melissa. On June 14th, he had an amazing son, me. He supported all my goals. He supported my sisters. He was a great guy. He was a great dude. He put everyone first. He'd be in a bad spot, he'll still look after everybody first. He could do everything, and he was strong enough to conquer the world. He was a great guy. All you gotta do is talk to him, and you know that he was such a great dude. He knew everything about cars, and always pushed me to do everything on my own, so I could be the man I am today.
You did good. Koa, 3 seconds before, said that he didn't write anything. So as we're walking up there, we had to whip something together. So. I, on the other half, wrote my speech prior, quotes and all. As the iconic Dr. Seuss once said, sometimes you will never know the value of a moment until it becomes a memory, which I know everyone here is effectively feeling. I had it. You do. I met Drew. I met Drew when I was 8 years old, and I will never forget our first date. My mom, Drew, and I went to Gunther Tootie's and then mini golf to follow up. During that night, we had to stop for gas in the pouring rain. And for those of you who don't know, he had a Cadillac, big blue, and underneath the license plate is where you fill up the gas. I had never been more excited to fill up gas in a car in my entire life. 10 years later, and now that it's my car, it's definitely not nearly as exciting. After that night, I knew right away I had some competition for some favoritism. I would let him think here and there that he had my mom, but circumstances with my grandma were different, and he knew that. Drew and my mom had the type of love I will forever look up to, the type of love that included cheesy morning kisses every day and every night, and the apparent admiration in their eyes for each other. So thank you both for showing me what true love looks like. Drew was the type of person that would truly radiate happiness wherever he went. He never failed to make people feel welcomed, whether it was invading your personal space with a huge hug, or just looking for a way to make you smile. I've always looked up to Drew for his charismatic personality and good loving nature, to any and everyone, not to mention his corny dad jokes and gentle giant demeanor. On the other hand, Drew could get sassy at times, and definitely wasn't the best gossip girl when it came to late night talks. Family game nights were always a fight to get him to play, because according to him, we didn't know how to play them right. But that was a short list of his flaws, which comes to show his true colors. Drew made sure that I would get whatever I want, and no matter how much he denied it, I knew it was the puppy dog eyes that did the trick. When plans fell through in getting my original car, I knew immediately that Drew would make it happen. As anyone knows me, knows I'm a diva, and it's never simple. When Drew asked me for my 3 car options, I said, either a Beamer or a Benz or Bentley should do the trick. He tried to act surprised, but deep down he already knew I'd be difficult and of course expensive. But like always, he moved mountains and made it happen. I didn't just lose a stepfather, but I also lost a friend, a supporter, an eating buddy, and someone who definitely kept me going on my comeback jokes. Recently one night, Drew comes running downstairs with my mom and I talking and jumps on my bed, kicking his feet, acting like a teenage girl. He was simply just happy to be there with us. The sound of his uncontrollable laughter and contagious smile that night will never leave my mind. It goes without saying, everyone here feels a void without Drew being here with us. Nothing takes away the pain, and the memories will always be embedded in our hearts and souls. As I turn into my next chapter in these few coming months, I have learned to love with no limits, to cherish the memories you make, and to live truly and proudly in the moment. In this world, I stand up here in front of one heck of a year. A pandemic, a race war, immigrational flaws, and so much more exploit the unsurety of life. With that being said, we now more than ever need to love more and focus on living in the present because nothing is promised. Drew, I love and miss you immensely, but I know you have gained a golden spot in heaven, and I will forever be protected by you. Thank you.
Yes.
Mine is not nearly that good. I wasn't supposed to do this for a very long time. And forever was not long enough for sure. Life isn't always fair, but I know your spirit is still with me every day. And although it's not enough, I'll hold on to it. Drew's my husband, their dad, son, grandson, brother, uncle, cousin, and for so many of you, a real special friend. You may remember Drew for his love for Cadillacs and cars, Tupac and Tech Nine, his new obsession with bodywork, or always down to smoke a blunt with you. You may also remember his laugh, his hugs, and his big heart. He was the most genuine person there was. His intentions were always to make you smile. I see he left an impression on everyone he met, including the ladies. Anyway, Drew and I met 10 years ago at Love's gas station. I have to give a shout out to our brother Chaz for finally breaking the ice between us. After a few months of Drew staring at me through the chips in the mirror, Chaz says to me, "Look, my brother thinks you're hot. Now go get her number, Drew." He turned as red as ketchup. But I wrote my number down on a piece of paper, and I told my boss, I said, "This guy," I said, "he's over here staring at me all these times," and he says, "Don't think I haven't seen you giving him free hot dogs and drinks all this time." It's a good thing I did their books, because I was able to write them off. When he called me that night, I can hear the nerves in his voice when he asked me on a date, and we talked for hours. I later found out that he borrowed money from his cousin Jason just to take me out because he didn't want to miss the opportunity, so thanks, Jason. We started out as friends, and even though our first date, he told me, "You know, I'm going to love you forever." And I said, "You're crazy, you don't even know me." And he says, "I've been watching you for months." And I said, my friends tease me about my stalker and his wrinkled ways. That almost made me walk away. We talked on the phone for hours and text like teens. And he ran out of gas in front of my dad's house, but it wasn't long after that he told me he was going to love me forever, that I knew I was going to love him forever too. He actually hated being on the phone. He'd rather talk to you face to face so that way he can give you a hug at the end of every conversation. We learned together that 20 seconds is what you need for your energy to get transferred in a hug, so we always held for 20 seconds or longer. We had a cute exchange of dimes for a kiss, and when Drew was in the doghouse, he'd plant roll of dimes everywhere, so he knew he'd get all kinds of kisses. His proposal was so thought out and sneaky. As a matter of fact, my engagement ring was on his dresser for weeks, and I never even noticed. I seen the box, but it wasn't my dresser, so I didn't even look. He custom made me a heart diamond and set it in my favorite, rose gold. And after 6 years of love, he wanted to make it official, against my desire to never be married. He got on his knee in front of our family and friends, who joined for the first time on Christmas Eve. And he told me we had a Morticia Gomez kind of love, and he wanted to obsess over me for the rest of his life, and forever after that. He said I made him happier than he ever thought possible. Of course I said yes, because in that moment I couldn't imagine a day without Drew by my side. I asked him that night, what would he have done if I would said no? And his response was, I would have asked you every day until you said yes. Hold on. wanted a small and intimate wedding, but Drew wanted to be belle of the ball. So I worked hard on creating his dream wedding in this exact place where we're at right now. I spent most of my days thinking of ways to make him happy. The simple gestures of a hot meal after a long day, to rubbing his feet, and y'all, I hate feet. But no matter how tired I would be, I would wake up in the morning to have a cup of coffee with him and make his breakfast, pack his lunch to make sure that he would have a good meal through the day. I made sure he had a warm towel out after the shower on cold nights. I took pride in being his wife, because Drew was my king. He called me Honeybee, and I was the honey that he craved. I called him my honey bear. I sat in his shop while we jammed out and he worked on cars, and middle of his working out, he would take my hand and we would dance and sing together. We shared a love for our families, old cars, Tupac, music, and good food. Although I'm strong, he catered to my weaknesses. He called me his baby doll, and he would hold me so tight. I would listen to his heart, and he would kiss my arm, ending at my fingertips. He tucked me in at night, and no matter what, he would kiss me twice. He would tell me I was beautiful. He took care of me when I was sick. And no matter what, no matter how many people were in the room, I can count on looking around and he'd be staring at me. He would give me that damn dimpled smile, and in that moment, it was just he and I had another lover in Drew, though, and he was my Sancho Casper. He was a little more thug than Drew, but he was equally as hot. I met him a few times when men would try to talk to me. He would step back and let them buy me a drink. But there were few times he had to use his large hands, and he was a badass. You didn't want to see Drew mad. Well, I did. It was sexy, but... If you know me, you know that Drew has always been my favorite subject. I've read every line over and over like my favorite book. I listened to his words and took his advice. He was so patient with his teachings with me. Unless he had a hard day at work, then he'd get sassy and I'd have to remind him, I'm not on the clock and I will fight you. We had plans to build our dream home and travel the world. He couldn't wait to see what Koa and Mariah did with their futures, or getting the chance to see Michaela kill it on the court. He was so proud to be Papa Drew to Malaysia and couldn't wait to see baby Alicia. He got to see his big brother run a successful business, with my help, of course. But the Sickles empire will continue to grow. He had plans on his Prelude, a new exhaust for the 65, a new top and paint job for Big Blue. I never understood his madness, but I loved the idea and would celebrate his successes. When he pulled off that suicide door on that truck, you would have thought we won the lottery. He wanted to cruise the Ave with the kids and I one day, all in our cars. He had a dream of owning Cracker Jack, and he was so supportive to all my dreams. He recently had me reading accounting books to him so he can make sense of what I do. He also had me reading car manuals because he hated reading. So I read to him, and he would just listen, mostly just stare, probably didn't take anything in. But he never tried to put his dreams above mine and vice versa. We were a dynamic pair. We encouraged each other, and we were each other's #1 fans. We completed each other. He loved my feistiness, and I loved his gentleness. He was my calm, and I was his storm. He cared about his friends. Trust me, Drew sucked at gossiping. He sucked at gossiping, and I didn't pry. So your private conversations went to the grave with him. I respected his loyalty to his people. His friends were all like brothers, as well as his cousins. Drew wasn't one to hold a grudge, but he did want to speak his piece and will allow you the chance to speak yours no matter what the circumstance. He would forgive you, and there were very few people that he didn't care to ever mend the gaps. I hated seeing him sad, hurt, or disappointed. I can't imagine anyone ever hurting Drew. He told me he used to get picked on. Hold on. He told me he really didn't like the fact that he was his size. He said his size would bother him, but as his protector, trust me when I say this, to the 2nd grade bully, if you're here today, I'm kicking your ass. To me, Drew was perfect. And I told his mother when I met him that I thought he was beautiful. And she didn't understand that, but I'm proud to say that now her and Chaz both agree he was beautiful. Drew, a perfect alignment of our stars created soulmates and twin flames with us. And I agree, I have loved you long before I met you too. We shared a love most only see in movies, and I miss you terribly. But baby, I want to release your soul, and I want you to enjoy paradise with our families who have went before you. Head tighten and give him kisses. I promise to do my best to achieve our dreams, including your car club. The kids and I promise to take care of each other, and we're not alone. Our family and friends have provided us with an incredible amount of love and support. We always loved how we never felt like outsiders with each other's families. My brothers and sisters are yours, and yours are mine. Your bestie Denna is here for us, and although she low-key cries more than me, I know she loves and misses you too. Who would have thought that I would let a girl be your best friend? Probably because you two are one and the same. Baby, you chose me to have the best of you, and you helped create the best of me. I know my life will never be the same, because a part of me died the day you died. I will grieve the loss of Melissa Drew's wife, but I will cherish the memories and value what we shared until our next lifetime. So follow the rules up there. No smiling, head down, and pat them when they come in for a hug, because you're still mine. I know you know that I love you, and the only regret that I have is answering the phone every single time, because I would give the world to hear you call me baby doll just one more time.
If anybody else would like to come up here and share some words, you're more than welcome to.